Good morning, everybody. When I was asked to talk about patient-doctor relationships, I wanted to let you know, first of all, that I have no real expertise. I'm just a parent. It's through going through a parent and child journey for 24 years of epilepsy. So this is our daughter, Allison. My husband's in the audience, and my other daughter, Anna. Allison had her first seizure at 6 years old, and we have been through a lot of things. I'll just show you quickly. This is Allison and her brother, Jeff, before her surgery. They both shaved their heads right before surgery, and we have a lot of support with that, which is good. This is Allison after one of her brain surgeries. You always have to have a little levity. Allison with one of her EEG techs, putting tape on her nose. And then this is, I call them my home team, her brother and sister. So we always have a little bit of help with that. In these 24 years of advocating for Allison, she has intractable epilepsy, which 30% of people have that have epilepsy, which means very, very difficult to control. So my family and I have gone through all of the emotions that I'm sure you, as a person with epilepsy or as a support person, has gone through. Our emotions began as disbelief at initial diagnosis, then fear. How do we help her when we don't know anything about epilepsy? Then frustration when many of the remedies did not help her, including brain surgeries, the very difficult ketogenic diet, and it's a tough one, and many, many medications and studies. So through years of pain and lots of tears, and in more recent years, with more knowledge and faith, we started to begin the acceptance process. We're all on board now to do our best to help Allison, and that requires staying positive, having the right medical team, and becoming involved in the entire medical process. And it really is an evolving process. I've been talking with people through the years. I find that what most people want from their doctors is pretty similar. Patients are, quite simply, looking for answers and help in a language they can understand. I have a little anecdote here. When Allison was very young, and we were very new, this whole world of epilepsy, my husband and I were hanging on every word to try to understand what our neurologist was telling us. And she spoke very, very fast. And we couldn't get it. We just had trouble getting it. So eventually, after we were a little frustrated, we said, would you mind, it's so important what you're saying to us, would you mind if we brought an audio tape? Back in the old days with the old tape machines. We didn't have phones back then. And she said she agreed to it. And the next visit, we brought our little machine. And lo and behold, she spoke very slowly that meeting. So my husband and I kind of looked at each other and chuckled a little bit. And I said, I hope that maybe by mentioning our difficulty understanding the instructions, maybe that was perhaps the catalyst that was needed to help the neurologist just to slow down and communicate a little bit better with us. I think number 2 is patients want to be heard. Don't we all want to be here? We want somebody to hear us. Many of us here have probably felt alone in having someone understand the enigma that is epilepsy, and it is a puzzle. We often hear from people in our family and in our lives, well, geez, she's not better yet. Have you ever heard that one? Did you try a different doctor? Did you go to a different hospital? Guess what? Yes, we've done it all. We've been there. It's still a difficult disorder. So no matter how much we try to educate people, they don't always get it. So what a patient really needs is someone that understands them and this very difficult road. They want to be heard. No better person than their doctor, the one who truly knows this difficult disorder. It's good to know that someone's on our side at all times. I think patients want doctors to be respectful of their unique medical needs and of their time also. Patients understand that there are times when doctors are busy, but the courtesy of letting a patient know when they're going to be late goes a long way towards a good relationship. Agreed? We all sat in that office many, many hours, I think. And you don't mind if you know what's coming, you know. So Allison's appointments have always been more successful when we have our act together, her and I. I just thought I would suggest, I'm sure everybody here knows all of this, but we always find that when we come prepared, we have a list of our questions. And sometimes you have to be very firm about getting your questions answered. We have to know which meds need refills. Just keeps your life going more simply. Bring your calendar. It's always helpful to review seizure activity as well as for future appointments and tests. And we try to bring a smile. I think it goes a long way towards building a good relationship with your doctor and your medical staff. The medical field and the medical insurance have become much more complicated and challenging for doctors and patients alike. That's why it helps our medical team when we are very clear in what we need from them and what we wish to share with them. By doing that, it allows our doctors the precious time they need to make further recommendations for their patients. Doctors and patients' goals, I think, are similar and have common threads. I asked a doctor friend of mine, he's well respected, a really good guy. I said, what do you think makes a good patient? He said, a good patient will understand the balance between the general and the particular. Every person is unique and may or may not have unique issues. But one of the reasons you go to see a doctor is because he or she has seen cases like yours so often and is often very confident what to do. So having a little trust in your doctor. A good patient will engage the doctor for his or her skill and experience. Patients certainly may know their own bodies very well and can certainly share what seems to have worked before, but should be respectful and listen in case the doctor suggests an alternative path. Of course, patients are free to respectfully disagree disagree with that alternative, and are always free to seek other options. And another thing he said was a good patient will understand that the phrase doctor-patient relationship describes a partnership and a shared responsibility. Each member of that two-person team has a role to play, and the outcome is always better when each holds up his or her end of the relationship. So in summary, I think a doctor's role is to cultivate a partnership, solicit patients' concerns and opinions, work on mutual trust, and recognize that patients are expert in the experience of their own illness. And I always feel that mutual respect, as well as patience, goes a long way with your doctors. The other very important thing I've learned after many years of navigating our way through this world of epilepsy is that we needed more support. My family needed more support. We needed more emotional, social, even financial, and help with medical insurance. As our daughter reached the age of 18 and was unable to work a full-time job. Doctors do their best, but their time is limited. Before Allison's first brain surgery, her neurosurgeon said to us, I'm going to operate on your daughter's brain, and I basically have 15 minutes to talk to you. And I could tell he felt badly about that. And I've always appreciated his candor. And by saying that, also realized that he had compassion and empathy for what we were going through. So I always appreciate honesty from a doctor. So in time, we found ourselves attending an epilepsy conference. Then we went to another. Eventually, Allison attended summer camp, which opened up her whole world to friends, to being on her own, just plain having fun. So excuse my shameless plug for the foundation again, but it truly made the difference in our lives, and especially in our daughter's life. Like many others, we kind of dragged our feet before getting involved, hoping this would all go away. But it didn't, and we had to find ways to cope and live well within this world of epilepsy. I really do believe that all of our doctors will concur that the foundation is another integral part of the patient-doctor team. You know, we all need help. Doctors need help too. It will actually help you also to be a better, well-informed patient and an advocate for yourself or your loved one. It's a really tough life very often, having epilepsy. Being the caretaker to someone with epilepsy is tough. Even being the doctor to a patient with epilepsy. We have known many neurologists and neurosurgeons and research assistants, nurses, EEG techs, and of course we've had the support of the foundation. This network of people that come into our lives has brought me here to share a little bit with you. Through our 24 years with Allison's epilepsy, many of those years very trying, I've come to have a very real and deep knowledge of just how difficult epilepsy truly is and how profoundly so many people and their families are affected. So whether you have intractable seizures like Allison, or if your seizures are well controlled or you're somewhere in between, we all know that epilepsy is really that last frontier with many answers still needed and more work to be done. We hope and pray that efforts to improve epilepsy will continue. So because of the difficult journey of so many, and from what I know of our own lives, I have come from that original place that I had of fear and frustration to gratitude. A lot of people don't understand why I can be grateful because we've had such a hard life. But if I didn't have the gratitude for these doctors that do what they do, I'm really thankful that they are willing to work in this very challenging field. I admire their tenacity and their knowledge. I'm thankful that they choose to stay in this field. It's a tough one. You don't get a lot of, I don't think they get a lot of like immediate back when, like some of the other fields, so thank God that they're willing to stay in this field with us. I hope that more people will help them to continue to seek out the money and interest needed to continue this very important research, and that they continue to have hope for people with epilepsy. So in general, I just wanted to say, like, the more I feel that we learn, that we can educate ourselves, the better our relationships can be with our doctors.